In this video I want to explain about transparent corners, which are a feature of box effects. So if we start ViziGen-Page and open a project from its file, go onto the Globals tab, look down for the box effects, and we'll just take a quick look at some of these box effects. So black box is based on blackbox.png, and that has no transparent corners. And tab box is based on tabbox.png, and that has all corners transparent. So if we quickly take a look at both of those graphics files, this is black box, and as you can see in the corners there's a blue colour, and that means that this box will look fine if the background that it's sitting on is that blue colour, because that will just blend in. And then tab box, if we just magnify that a little bit, you can see that it's got rounded corners at the top, and the actual corner part, which looks white here, is in actual fact transparent. So it wouldn't matter what background that was sitting on, because it would look okay. So what are the complications? So if we quickly create a new page, and then go to the page designer. This is a new page. This is just the template here. We select the page content box, we can create a box on top of that. So if I create a stack box and give it the black box effect, you can see that it doesn't look all that great because of these blue corners. But where it's used on the page body, it looks fine because it's sitting on exactly the same colour. So there would seem to be distinct advantages in using box effects with transparent corners because they're much more flexible. But there is one slight drawback which I'll now explain. So if I select this box with the blue corners and create another box inside it, and we'll give that the blue border box effect so it looks a little bit better. This again has no transparent corners, and it doesn't need them because it's a square shape or rectangular shape. If I move it, we're moving a box with no transparent corners inside another box with no transparent corners, and you can see we can move this box right up to the top of its parent box, and we can move it right down to the bottom. If we go to that parent box and change it to a box which has transparent corners, tab box, and now we try to move the inner box, it won't move right to the top. So the section which has the transparent corners in it is unavailable, and it's the same at the bottom. And this is a quirk of the way that this technique is implemented in the HTML and CSS that's generated. So that is the disadvantage of the box effects with rounded corners. Now in this particular case you can see that the rounded effect is only a small proportion of this space here, and that's because the box settings aren't quite right. So we go to tab box and specify the top border box as say 12 and the bottom as 12, and we go back there. You should be able to move this a little bit further up. So that's just to eliminate any confusion I might have created there. So that's the disadvantage of having transparent corners. But there is another thing. If we look at the inner box here, this has a box effect with no transparent corners. If we change it to a box that does have transparent corners, tab box. Well, now, because of that same quirk of the way HTML and CSS work, we can overlap these boxes, and we can overlap them to the extent of the smaller of the border settings of the two different box effects. So in this case, unfortunately, they both got the same box effect. But if they had different box effects, then, for example, the top border setting could be different in one of them, and the extent to which the two boxes can overlap in that top border section is determined by the smaller of the two border settings, and it's exactly the same with the bottom border settings. So the thing to do is to play around with this for yourself, and you'll get to understand the complications. But the purpose of this video was just to make you aware of them, and that's it.